The Cheerdaki was a starfighter used by the Twi'lek Resistance, and it sure stands out with its rather odd design. Although looking like something cobbled together by your 10-year-old brother who got hold of your Legos and didn't waste time taking them apart and reassembling them in the dearest ways possible, it was actually classified as an ugly starfighter. The term ugly was used for starfighters built from scavenged parts of crashed ships and other dubious origins. The Cheerdaki fused the TIE Fighter's central cockpit pod with the S-foils of an X-Wing and attached them via a spinning mount, somewhat reminiscent of the B-Wing's layout. This meant it could spin its S-foils mid-flight, making it a spinning flurry of death. It used the TIE's twin-ion engines for propulsion and relied on the X-Wing systems to power its lasers, shields, and hyperdrive. This made the Cheerdaki more maneuverable than a standard TIE fighter, but a bit slower. Like the TIE, however, it lacked life support systems, requiring pilots to wear pressurized flight suits. In terms of firepower, the Cheerdaki had the full laser complement of an X-Wing with the 4 wing-mounted laser cannons. However, the X-Wing's proton torpedoes and missile launchers were left out, as they were too hard to come by. Sure is a funny design, innit? Also, in BASIC, the Twi'lek term Cheerdaki meant Death Seed. The Clutch, which was also informally known as the Tri-Fighter, was also an ugly starfighter, although it actually doesn't look too terrible if you ask me. It was built around the central pod and ion engines of a regular TIE fighter, but featured 3 triangular fins arranged at 120-degree intervals, giving it a tri-winged appearance. While it lacked the speed of an X-Wing, the Clutch was more maneuverable. It used pedals for sharp turns, and the thrust and repulsor systems could be disengaged with a quick pull, allowing the ship to brake and accelerate in quick succession. Unlike standard TIEs, the Clutch had basic deflector shields. Its weapons loadout included dual laser cannons mounted beneath the cockpit and a single ion cannon fixed at the top fin. Although it might look like an official variant of the TIE fighter lineup, considering ships like the TIE Bizarro were actually real TIE fighters and looked far weirder than this one, it was actually used by various groups, none of which were the Empire. A pirate gang, as well as a rebel privateer named Urius Jajin, used them during the Yuzhong War. They often used it for hit-and-run and escort missions, and it was rather fast. The Death Raven was a personal starship of former Rebel and New Republic pilot Aaron Kell, who built the vessel sometime after the formation of the New Republic. He became disillusioned by the increasing bureaucracy of the New Republic and resigned to turn to mercenary work. Through his contacts, he acquired 2 damaged B-Wing starfighters that were deemed too costly to repair, and with the help of engineers from Quat Drive Yards, he merged the 2 B-Wings into a single heavily modified warship, the Death Raven. It fused the 2 B-Wing hulls around a newly enlarged central cockpit that served as the pilot's station, making it a whopping 32 meters wide. The B-Wing hulls also rotated around the cockpit in a similar fashion to the original B-Wing's gyroscopic design. The Death Raven kept all the weaponry of the original 2 B-Wings, which included 4 assault laser cannons, 6 light ion cannons, and 4 proton torpedo launchers. It was further upgraded with 2 additional light ion cannons, bringing the total to 8. All weapon systems were linked in groups. The 4 assault laser cannons could fire in unison, the torpedo launchers could launch in salvos, and the ion cannons were grouped for coordinated strikes. Thanks to the expanded magazines from the B-Wing models, the ship could carry up to 40 proton torpedoes at full load. Defensively, the Death Raven featured stronger deflector shields powered by upgraded shield generators and reinforced armor plating. It had a top-tier Class 1 hyperdrive, and it held enough fuel and consumables for 2 months in deep space. The ship's modifications also expanded its interior slightly to accommodate 1 passenger and up to 250 kilograms of cargo. It also only required 1 person to pilot it, unlike the B-Wing, which usually required 2 people. Kell flew the ship during his mercenary career in the New Republic era and through the Yuzhong invasion. The ATAT Scepter, as I call it, was an ugly ship that was briefly seen in the Poe Dameron comics and fuses the cockpit of an AT-AT with the wings of a TIE Interceptor. Furthermore, it seems to have engines from what seems to be an X-Wing, making it probably the funniest looking ugly on this list. Nothing else is really known about it, though. The ATST Tie, as I call it, as there's no official name, was only seen on the cover of a Poe Dameron comic. It seems to be using the cockpit of the ATST and the wings of a standard TIE fighter. Truly desperate measures that the Imperial Remnant has to turn to in it. The Taiwing was one of the more recognizable ugly starfighters cobbled together from Imperial and Rebel tech. Despite being a Frankenstein's monster of two classic designs, it was, ironically, more standardized than most uglies. The Taiwing fused the central ball cockpit and wing struts of a TIE fighter with the engines of a Y-wing bomber. This gave it a peculiar look and a flight profile that was, unfortunately, the worst of both worlds. Armed with standard TIE laser cannons and often equipped with a working TIE sensor package, the fighter had fair maneuverability but little else to brag about. It lacked shields, had no hyperdrive, and was considered painfully slow by modern fighter standards. Pilots quickly learned to be wary of flying one. While the combination looked practical on paper, mixing the TIE's agility with the Y-wing's power, it delivered neither. Instead, the Taiwing is a death trap for anyone caught in real combat. That's why it was also donned the nickname Die-wing, because once you were in one, you might not be coming back out. Taiwing saw use among pirate groups and also turned up in the arsenals of privateers and French factions on both the Rebel Alliance and the Imperial Remnant. During the Yuzhanvong War, Rebel privateer Erles Jashin kept a few Taiwings aboard his ship. The XTIE Fighter was another Frankenstein design in the long line of uglies. This one married the fuselage and engines of the Rebel Alliance's X-Wing with the solar panel wings of a TIE Fighter. With the solar panels replacing the X-Wing's S-foils, the XTIE lost a lot of the original model's firepower. Weapon setups varied by build. Most XTIEs had 2 laser cannons installed on the fuselage where the proton torpedo launchers used to be. Others retained 1 torpedo launcher and had a single laser cannon on the other side. A few even managed to squeeze in the X-Wing's original laser cannons. Like most uglies, the XTIE was barely spaceworthy, was prone to mechanical failure, and was far from combat ready against any serious opposition. The Corellian Defense Forces were known to use uglies, including XTIEs, during the chaotic years immediately following the fall of the Empire, when resources were limited. The Xceptor was an ugly built from the salvaged parts of both TIE interceptors and Rebel X-Wings. Its design replaces the S-foils of the X-Wing with the angular solar panels of the interceptor. The body and engines remain standard X-Wing components, allowing it to retain limited hyperdrive capability and decent sublight speed. The solar panels carry the interceptor's 4 laser cannons, making the Xceptor significantly more dangerous than its cousin, the XTIE, and closer in firepower to a proper military starfighter. Despite this, the Xceptor was still an ugly at its core. Sloppy build quality, inconsistent systems, and recycled components made them unreliable and barely spaceworthy. While their laser cannons could tear through an unshielded freighter, they struggled in direct confrontations with real starfighters. Performance-wise, they fell short of both the TIE Interceptor and X-Wing in every way. Still, Xceptors saw use across the galaxy from pirates, smugglers, and independent militias. One notable appearance came during the Battle of Dantooine, where Jaina Solo provided cover for an Xceptor during an attack run against the Yuzhanvong. The YTie was one of the more common ugly starfighter variants, built by merging parts from a Y-wing and a TIE fighter. Specifically, it swapped out the Y-wing's engine package for the TIE's solar wings. In terms of systems, the YTie replaced the Y-wing's dorsal ion turret with the TIE fighter's twin laser cannons, and the TIE's sensor suite filled in for the missing Y-wing array. Unlike many uglies that ended up combining the weaknesses of their parts, the YTie managed to inherit a few strengths. It had stronger shields and weapons than a standard TIE, and better sublight speed and maneuverability than a stock Y-wing. It still mostly wasn't enough to stand up to military-grade starfighters in a fair fight, but it could definitely hold its own in a skirmish or a raid better than other iterations on this list. The Corellian B-Wing Ugly, or more commonly referred to as the C-Wing Ugly, was a hybrid starfighter cobbled together by pirates and other desperate factions. It fused the cockpit of a Corellian YTie series light freighter, which for reference was what the Millennium Falcon's cockpit was, with the body and wings of a B-Wing starfighter. Like most uglies, it was built more out of necessity than choice, thrown together from whatever parts were on hand. This starfighter was primarily deployed by groups like the Sicorian Triad during the first Corellian insurrection. While these uglies were said to have been spammed in significant numbers at once, they were often outclassed by better-equipped fleets. It was more designed to engage with lightly shielded targets, as the Cwing lacked the firepower and durability needed to go toe-to-toe with real starfighters. Structurally, it was a mess as well. The mismatched components rarely aligned cleanly, leading to frequent mechanical issues and inconsistent performance between units. The ship required a crew of 2, a pilot and a gunner. Later modifications saw even more oddities added, including a ground-use anti-infantry turbo laser awkwardly mounted to the undercarriage. The Xceptor was a mashup of the Z95 Headhunter and the TIE Interceptor, and was a solid example of just how creative ugly builders could get. It took the forward fuselage of a Headhunter, attached it to the eyeball cockpit of a TIE Interceptor, bolted on the Headhunter's engines, and stuck the Interceptor's solar panels on either side, making it truly a beauty of a mess. It was also packing when it comes to weaponry for an Ugly. It packed the TIE Interceptor's dual laser cannons, the Z95's wing cannons, repositioned along the sides of the fuselage, and even a twin-barreled cannon turret mounted on top of the cockpit that resembled the ion turret from a Y-wing. Oddly enough, it also featured an astromech socket, positioned at the front of the ship, right on the nose, instead of behind the pilot. Groups from Imperial remnants were seen using them mostly. Xceptors were also used during the massacre of the Rendili mine colonies, where Yuzum refugees were gunned down in what was essentially a war crime. The Z-TIE was an ugly starfighter cobbled together from the fuselage of a Z-95 Headhunter and the solar panels of a standard Imperial TIE fighter. There's no picture for this, but it was mentioned that it was used by a band of smugglers to defend their hideout. The Z-Wing is categorized as an ugly, but we don't know anything about it. From its name, it most likely was a combination of a Z-95 Headhunter and an X-Wing. And that's it. Every ugly starfighter in Star Wars. Surely one of the funnier aspects of the galaxy far, far away. Please like and subscribe.